Welcome to the operational track panel. We're discussing elements in creating the roadmap to hospitality recovery. And we trust everyone is staying positive and testing negative. My name is Sidi Kotze, your moderator for today. And I also happen to have a 22-year hospitality background. Joining me today in this discussion, Mr. Kuljit Reki. He's the Group Director of Operations for the Sarova Hotels. And at Sarova Hotels is where you can capture the moment as well as the imagination. Next, we have fellow South African, Ms. Samantha Annandale. She is the Regional Director of Operations for Noma Hotels, where they are making business class affordable. Then we have Mr. Isam Awari. He's the Head of Sales for Sub-Saharan Africa for the Hoist Group, where they turn stays into returns with the widest range of hospitality technology in the Middle East and Africa. And Mr. Kamal Sinaji is the Chief Operating Officer for Asala Hotels. And, they're the premium hospitality provider in West Africa. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Our first subject today is around reevaluating the business model post-pandemic. We've got a lot of speak right now about vaccines coming out. And so there is a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. But, the industry has significantly been impacted and has brought about a significant shift, not only in the way we operate, but also our guest priorities. As creative and resilient as we are as a group of people, this has forced us to change direction in a big way. In light of this, what does reevaluating the hotel business model mean to your group?
Reevaluation of the hotel business for Sarova Group means about redefining, realigning, redesigning, reorienting, and refining our processes. So when I'm saying redefine, we talk about what is the risk to the business. We talk about what is the risk to cash flows, what is the risk to ratios, what is the risk to the optimizing of numbers. When we look at realigning, we're saying how does the organization structure needs to be relooked at and realigned in the new normal. Redesigning cost in wake of the new realities and new norms in terms of the reduced capacities, especially in food and beverage outlets, etc. And then to reorient ourselves as to how can we multitask and multi-scale. And finally, how do we refine the internal standard operating procedures to meet the new realities? But we've broken this down at Sarova Hotels into two parts. One is the short term and one is the long term. And while this is very tactical, I think the long-term vision is how do you convert your fixed costs into more variable costs. And lastly, understanding what a good cost is and what a bad cost is would define as to how we move forward with our businesses. Good cost, very quickly, is the cost that will give you returns faster than a bad cost. Investment in technology, people, etc., would turn to be a good cost. So that's in a nutshell how we reevaluating our business.
The opportunity opens itself to actually have hotels operating again, that we've mitigated all potential risk that we can possibly foresee, and obviously have as little impact in the ratios. And it was mentioned earlier, as we see hotels opening, we've made sure that we try and do it as good as possible, knowing that there's no textbook solution for what we're going through. Certainly trying to ensure that we capture our market segmentation and our clientele to gain the trust and the loyalty as quickly as we can.
I think our business is a human business. We call it hospitality. Yeah, interaction. We call it hospitality. The guest is looking for safety. We're going to give him safety. But the smile that we give to that guest is the purpose of our existence and of our passion, which is hotel business. And I do honestly believe that human touch should remain in this business, with, of course, procedural basis, and of course safety and security. We've worked a lot since the beginning of the crisis. I should say that it's a new crisis. I mean, you're just having your people, welcoming your people normally, and then once say, up, be careful, stop, guys. Plane is coming with COVID-19 and it's going straight ahead to your place. Have a sit, think twice, and say, what are you going to do for your teams to protect them? What are you going to do for your guests to protect them?
Moving forward, not necessarily in the reality that we face right now, but once restrictions start to ease, once the vaccine starts to kick in and we have a little bit more freedom, what are we going to do to unlock F&B revenues in our hotels, and what opportunities have been created by COVID-19?
So we've what we invested or had planned to invest in CapEx for this year, some of the projects we've managed to continue with, being very mindful of cash flow, of course, as any company had to be during this time. And so what we've done is we've put a little bit more importance on our food and beverage CapEx investments. And we've seen it through some of the new builds as well. We've opened our terrace in Casablanca City Centre, and we've completed that project. And Kigali in Rwanda, our terrace is opening in the next 2 weeks, so we've continued with that. And certainly in KwaZulu-Natal in Durban, we've opened 2 outlets from a food and beverage perspective. So it is very much catering towards the domestic market, but I think it also lends itself to the fact that people are wanting experiences. Whether we can talk about contactless, non-contactless, at the end of the day, it's the experience. And I think on the previous session, they alluded to the delivery of food and not having that experience. So that will obviously remain in place. And so certainly our efforts have been more focused towards that. And obviously understanding that we have to, from a shareholders and directors and owners perspective, where we know we have no top line revenue coming in, certainly on the occupancy and accommodation side, how are we, for our shareholders and investors, going to find alternative revenue sources? The fact that everybody had to review their expenses, those fixed expenses, and try and get them more variable or less variable and more fixed on a lower rate. Certainly, and I mean, I just look after South and East Africa, and I mean, we've had 800,000 euros of expenses which we managed to curb, where we've renegotiated with our contractors and our suppliers and our third-party affiliates. So I think that first of all is what we're going to have to do, and it's like I said, I mean earlier, it's not just now; it's going forward. Obviously, it's a fine line how it impacts on service and guest experience, and one needs to balance that exceptionally well. And the second thing is obviously to make use of every opportunity to engage with the customer, to still keep it personal. Even when you're taking his temperature when he enters the lobby, if you don't have the technology, it's lovely to see what's going to come from your side with regards to technology that we can roll out in our hotels. Really looking forward to it. But certainly there's ways to positively engage with the customers still when they come through the doors. We've got just different opportunities. And certainly focus on what is real and what is our home ground. As for Onomo, we focused on Africa's finest. We believe Africa's at the heart of our hotels. And it's an opportunity for everybody to do that. And hence why we've had to look at different revenue streams. But it also goes with the expense component, of course, and to balance that as best as possible.
Thanks, Sam and Nisam. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kamil. Thank you, Kamil. Actually, it's good for me to see that even the owner side still willing to invest, like Kamil was talking about now. This is very optimistic from our side as well. Really,
I see a business opportunity for you here.
Yeah, we see also business opportunity, by the way. And, yeah, we see this happening. We're just discussing this even before the panel.
Yeah,
there's much to say about this actually.
Absolutely, there is lots to say about this. Absolutely, agree.
the big thing, one thing that we all need to learn, the more we collaborate, the more we have these conversations with each other, the more we learn. Because I think we sometimes have a tendency to work in silos, and that not only does it exist in hotels, it also works across companies and so on. And there's so much valuable learnings that you can have from these kind of discussions. So
Absolutely. By the way, this is exactly with our internal discussions we decided to participate, because we are an IT and we are a digital technology transformer. But in this event, we saw that we are going to interact with different side of the hospitality table, which will give all of us another vision of what's going on in the table, especially in Africa, as long as it's our interest. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it, and I really got lots of information and benefit out of this. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can all go backstage now again. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.